Okay. Let me see. Just a minute. Yeah. So we have done all these things. So we were in this slide. So this is a very important slide, not only for this course of power plant, but in general for mechanical engineering. And I have drawn it for, or I have taken it for fans, but similar kind of curve will come for pumps also, centrifugal pumps also. Okay, particularly centrifugal pump, we will get similar kind of diagram. So what I have told, this is called characteristic curve, either fan characteristic curve or pump characteristic curve. This is drawn at a particular RPM of the fan, and the fan can be of three types depending on the vane geometry. That is forward cut blade or vane, flat, and backward cut. So these three, for these three types of fans, we are seeing how the pressure will vary. Pressure means pressure developed by the fan. And inlet and outlet, there will be a difference of pressure. At the outlet, pressure will be more. At the inlet, pressure will be less. So this delta P, how this delta P will vary with flow rate. That means I want to have more flow, then what will be my delta P? If I reduce the flow, what will be my delta P? So please have a look into this curve for a few seconds. So this is called delta PQ curve, and in case of pump, this is called HQ curve. Head and discharge curve. Along with this, there is another set of curves, three curves, that is how the power will vary. So how the power will vary. So power of a fan, how can you get the power of a fan? Or power of a pump? What is the equation by which you can get power of a fan or power of a pump?
Like the pressure difference across the blades into volume flow rate.
Pressure difference into volume flow rate. So that will be there. So that is giving the power. So here you see, here, though the volume flow rate is 0, but power is not 0. You have to give certain amount of power, because whatever you have told, that is the case. But here there will be some sort of a loss. So that's why when even 0 flow rate, there will be certain amount of power. Okay, and the power will increase as we are increasing the flow rate. But in case of forward curved and radial curved, this will go on increasing. But in case of backward curved vane, it will increase and then it will decrease. And as I have told, from safety point of view, this is a very desired feature of a fluid machine. Either a pump or a fan, this is a very desired feature, because it will not, overload the motor, and the motor will also not trip. But there are other aspects we have to consider. Now, in a power plant, the fan can be used at the inlet side of the boiler. That means it will handle only clean air. But it will also be used at the outlet side of the boiler, where it has to handle the flue gas, and the flue gas will have the ash particle. Even it might have unburned, very small unburned coal particle. So, and the velocity is quite high. So you see that the fan will have to handle abrasive particle along with gas. So there will be problem of erosion. And all the types of blades which has been shown, they are not good for resisting erosion. It has been seen that the backward cut vane, they are most, vulnerable to the erosion of the solid particle. Radial blades are good, and also forward cut blades are good. But generally, flat blade or radial blade, that is good for erosion, to resist erosion. So there are many considerations why a backward cut vane or if other design will be considered. Now let us proceed. So if you remember, I have told something that a fan will have, suppose we have fixed the RPM, a fan will try to, deliver certain amount of air. Okay, that is depending on the fan character. But we may need more or less, and we should have some sort of a control on the volume flow rate which we are getting from the fan. So generally volume flow rate is controlled, and there are different ways of controlling it. One way of controlling it is that how do you control the flow of a liquid through a pipeline? We provide valve. Valve is the easiest way of controlling the flow rate. Similarly, in case of fan also, there are different kind of control. Either we can increase or decrease the speed of the fan by using some sort of a variable speed drive or variable frequency drive motor, or we can use some sort of a valve which is called damper. Now, damper could be of different type, and generally damper, what it does, like a valve, that it will put some sort of a resistance in the flow. Not only that, it will also make the flow field non-uniform. So this kind of inlet vane, they are used with centrifugal fan, very large centrifugal fan. These kind of vanes are used. The purpose of this vane is to guide the air at the inlet. And not only that, whenever it is needed, this inlet vanes, they are actually movable vane. They are not stationary vane. If it is stationary, then it is only guiding the airflow. But they are movable vane. If we, restrict the vane or restrict their position manipulate the position of the vanes, so then the inlet area will be more open or more closed. So accordingly, we can draw more air inside the centrifugal fan or less air inside the centrifugal fan. Advantage is that these inlet vanes, it is though acting like a valve, but it is a special kind of a valve. It will not create that much of flow resistance, and it will not make the flow very non-uniform. It will make the flow towards, it will keep the flow, though it is reducing the flow or increasing the flow, it will keep the velocity distribution more or less uniform. I can give an example, though exactly they are not similar, but if you have looked into the mechanical camera, the aperture control, so how the apertures are controlled, there are a number of circular segments, and they overlap on each over another, and ultimately the aperture becomes larger or smaller. So in the similar way, the inlet vane that also control the inlet area. And obviously, there will be resistance, but flow will remain more or less uniform. So this is another aspect. So this shows the axial flow fan. And this is a two-stage axial flow fan. Please try to understand. So here you can see the one row of blade, and here we can see another row of blade. And this is the inlet, this is the motor, and this side it will be the, okay, it is showing in a different way. So air is coming like this, gas flow, it is showing the arrow in this direction. So air is coming like this. So this is one row of blade, this is another row of blade, this is the motor as I have told, and the air is coming out like this. And then there will be duct that will be connected to this. Okay. These blades, you see very large number of blades are there. Quite a few things we have to learn or we have to remember. First thing is that that axial flow machine, whether it is handling a liquid or it is handling a gas, axial flow machines are having high flow rate, but the pressure rise generally is small in a axial flow machine. In a axial flow fan, pressure rise will be small. But that we can compensate. How we can compensate that? That instead of one row of blade, if we have two row of blade, three row of blade, so if we have number of rows of blades, then we can compensate the, less rise in pressure. That means in each row of blade, there is delta P amount of pressure rise. So this is delta P, and this will be again delta P. Of course, I am not exactly correct because it is not linear. What happens, let me tell you, as we increase the pressure of the air by delta P amount, then it becomes more difficult to increase further pressure. So the pressure rise will not be delta P, will be slightly less than that in the next row of blade. But adding one row of blade, I can increase the pressure. So that's why axial machines, we can have the advantage of high flow rate, and at the same time adding more and more number of blade rows, we can have more pressure rise. So this is a rotating row of blade. After that, the flow will get distorted, the flow direction will change. So then there should be another stationary row of blade, which will not rotate, but which will guide the air properly so that it comes to the next row of moving blade. So here you see that we have got removable variable pitch rotating blades. Then here we have got some sort of stationary blade. Then there is another row of blade here. Okay. And the blade position means not the physical position, but in the position, the orientation of the blade, which is called pitch angle, that can be controlled. That can be controlled. Can you name a very familiar axial flow machine, which all of us we have seen? Fluid handling machine.
Turbojet engine.
Yeah.
Aircraft engine.
Hello?
Aircraft engine.
Aircraft engine.
Now that is true. Propeller, probably you are telling propeller, but we have not go to, we need not go to propeller. See, all of you are sitting in some sort of a room now, and probably all of you are having ceiling fan or a table fan. So the ceiling fan or the table fan is an axial flow machine. Not completely axial flow machine, but to some extent, we can call it that it is an axial flow machine. A table fan is an axial flow machine. You can sit in front of the table fan, and you can see the air to come towards you. Now, this is what I wanted to ask you with the help, in connection with the table fan. So sometimes we have seen, maybe not all of you, but some of you have experienced it, might be, that the fan is rotating, but it is not giving proper amount of air. You feel that the air which is coming out of the fan is not adequate. But the fan should have given some amount of air flow rate. You are expecting more. So then you call the electrician. He does everything, and then he does something else which is not electrical, but something mechanical thing, means quote unquote mechanical thing he does. And after that, you find that the air flow rate has increased. Have you experienced some such thing?
He turns
Maybe
the
or
blades.
not.
Yeah, exactly. Deform.
He twists the blades. He twists the blades. So it is an axial flow machine. What he is doing, the pitch of the blade he is changing. Okay, by his experience. I mean, whether it is by 5 degree or by 4 degree or 8 degree, that cannot be told. So he has got his experience, he does it. So that means we are getting one means of controlling the air flow rate by this axial flow machine, even, I mean, liquid flow rate also, and performance also by changing the pitch angle of the blade. And this electrician is not totally depending on his intuition. What he does, after that, after twisting the blade, he measures how much electricity it is drawing. And then after 2-3 trial, he is satisfied that it is drawing enough amount of electricity. Enough amount of electricity it is drawing means the fan is properly loaded. It is handling enough amount of air. So that means if it is a turbine and if the pitch angles are properly fixed, then it will give enough amount of power. If it is a fan or a pump, then if the pitch angle is properly turned, then it will draw good amount of power, but at the same time it will give good amount of flow rate. So this is important, and this is one way of controlling the flow rate. Okay, so let us see this diagram. Here in this diagram, these are the axial flow. This is the axial flow fan. These are the blades attached to this drum or rotor. And you can see it is bolted, no? There are 4 bolts for blades. And then you can see at the end, it is showing aerofoil-like shape. So air flow rate will be in this direction, axial direction. So you can understand there is an angle of attack and all this thing. So, by controlling the pitch angle, generally this is adjustable, stationary adjustable, means before running the fan, not always, but once you control it, and maybe after 6 months you see and control it. Like this, there are fans which are automatically variable pitch control, but very complex design. But these fans, they will control the pitch, and we will have different kind of flow rate. Let me tell you one thing. Let me go back a little bit. Here I have got one curve that is for a particular RPM, one set of curve. So if I change the RPM, I will get another set of curve. So if I increase the RPM, my curve will be something like this. And if I decrease the RPM, my curve will be something like this. Similarly, in case of axial flow fan, I will have different characteristic curve for different pitch angle adjustment. Okay, let me tell you in this particular in this particular diagram, generally there are 3 sets of curve for a particular machine. Here only we can see 2 curve. You see this green curve, there are 2 number of curve. So one is your pressure and flow rate curve, another is your power and flow rate curve, another should be your efficiency and flow rate curve. So efficiency and flow rate curve, at the beginning the efficiency will be 0. Why? Because it is not having any kind of, I mean, you are spending energy, but you are not getting any kind of flow That means any kind of work you are not getting, but you are spending energy because there are different losses. So this is actually output power. This is not power. I mean, output power means whatever electrical power you are giving. So the efficiency curve will look like, just see the cursor, it will look like something and like this. Sorry. Efficiency curve will be something like an inverted U, and at the point where pressure and quantity both are 0. So that will be, at least the velocity is equal to 0 or flow rate is equal to 0. So efficiency will also be 0, and then it will be an inverted U. So the maximum point of U will be somewhere here. And in this range only, we should operate the fan. I mean, close to maximum efficiency point, we should operate the fan. And the different kind of fan design or pump design are possible where you can get a flat efficiency curve. Advantage is that over a large range, you can have a good amount of efficiency. So those I will not talk because those are topics of fluid machines. Some practical aspects of fluid machine, those I will not talk. Let me go back to where I was. So this is your axial flow fan, and this is your the blade of the axial flow fan, and you can see that pitch angle can be controlled. And by controlling the pitch angle, you can also control the amount of flow rate and obviously the amount of pressure rise across the fan. Means each of the pitch angle will give you a different kind of fan characteristic curve. Do you have any question up to this? So
No, sir.
what are the different methods of fan capacity control? Can you tell anybody? Hello?
Fan capacity as in flow rate, right?
Fan capacity means flow rate. So what are the different methods? Hello?
Like pitch will only change the pressure delta P, right? It will not change flow rate.
No, it will also change the flow rate. It will also change the flow rate. See, actually, these are very closely related. Delta P and Q, you cannot change anything without affecting the other. Means it is like this. Whatever may be your method of changing, you have to follow this curve. This is a characteristic curve of the pump or fan. So you have to follow this curve. Whatever you do, so you have to follow this curve. So, so that's why, as I have told, that if I have to change the flow rate through this, so let's say I have to operate the pump or fan over here, then obviously I have moved from this point to this point. So my pressure drop will also change. So independently, I cannot do only one quantity because I mean, the machine design of the machine will not allow me to do that. Is this point clear or not acceptable?
Clear, sir, clear.
हाँ, तो क्या करते हैं हम लोग क्या करते हैं? So sometimes
change the speed RPM of the.
We can change the speed or RPM. That is one way, but that is not a very easy way to do, because something we have to do in the motor. Unless we have a variable speed motor or variable frequency motor, we cannot do that. We can use some sort of a what is that, valve, resistance device in the flow path. Resistance device in the flow path, if we do, then what will happen? I mean, more resistance means there will be more delta P. So initially the flow rate was here. So we want to put more resistance. So I mean, delta P will reduce. So we will come somewhere over here. So so that is possible. But anyway, we cannot leave this curve. We have to. नहीं, हम थोड़ा उल्टा बोल दिया. So kaise ulta bol diya? It is like this, that initially I was working here. Then I have increased the resistance. So delta P I need more. So delta P I need more means I have to move over here and flow rate will reduce. That is what happens in the valve. Okay. With the valve, when I close the valve, so then resistance increases. That means I need more delta P. I was somewhere over here. I have to go somewhere over here. I have closed the valve, and by closing the valve, I get less amount of flow rate. But pressure developed by the pump, that increases. Now, what I was telling that, so sometimes we have to use, because we are, when we are trying to control one quantity, one parameter, we are also manipulating or changing the other parameter. So we have to sometimes use a combination of method, or we have to do something extra. हम क्या करते हैं? Suppose we have got a pipeline. Let's say it could be better understood with the help of a pipeline and pump. We have a pipeline. Then sometimes what happens that we have to have a particular flow rate and particular pressure. So we use a oversized pump, and then we have some sort of a bypass line that some of the water, we let it go back to the sink again. The other water, we are getting the required amount of flow and the pressure drop or pressure developed by the pump. So those kind of thing we have to do. Okay. So this is the characteristics of an axial flow pump. Axial flow fan. Axial flow fan, and this is the characteristic of an axial flow fan for a particular RPM and for a particular pitch angle setting. So here, most of the axial flow fan will give some sort of a dip over here. This is called stall. So stall is a very unusual operation of the fan. Please remember, this is for axial flow fan. I should have written somewhere. Somehow I have missed it. The flow reduces and can reverse also. The flow that will reduce and the flow reversal will take place. Stalling, overstalling, one can have number of classes, and stalling is one of the phenomena which is not very well understood even today, and even the control of stalling has not been, there are ways, obviously people are people work on those ways, but it is not very sacrosanct that if you do this thing, there will not be stalling. And stalling is very detrimental for compressors, etc. So that's why stalling is important. For fan, it will not be that much, but even for axial flow fan, stalling is there. So that's why I have mentioned it. So what will happen? Flow will reduce and can reverse also. Causes noise, vibration, and damage to fan or duct occurs at a slow flow rate. Low flow rate. So that is what we can see, that stalling is not occurring in this end, but it is occurring in this end, that is the low flow rate end. And it should be avoided. So that's why up to this, there could be stall point and stalling kind of phenomena, and then our operating range becomes like this. Okay, so beyond the stall point, we have to operate. And why there are two curves? Can you tell what are these two curves? So this curve is called fan curve. Yes, please. Hello, somebody was telling something. Hello.
I said the second curve is for power.
No, here second curve is not the power curve. Here this is called the system So this is called fan characteristic curve, and this is called system characteristic curve or duct characteristic curve. So for the fan, what will happen? If we increase the flow rate, delta P will reduce. Both cannot increase, then we will have enormous amount of power requirement. Air flow rate air flow rate increases, delta P will reduce. And for a duct or pipeline, what will happen? If we increase the air flow rate, delta P or pressure demand by this duct, that will increase. So that is what is shown by this particular curve, is not it? Dekho, thik se dekho. So for this curve, as air flow rate is increasing, our delta P is decreasing. For this curve, as air flow rate is increasing, delta P is also increasing. Q is proportional to delta P. In fact, the proportional is square kind of a proportional, parabolic kind of a relationship. So that is exactly what happens due to friction in a duct. Is not it V square? Delta P is proportional to V square or Q square. And then for a combination of a duct and a fan, somewhere delta P and Q will match. For both, mean delta P pump is equal to, or rather delta P fan is equal to delta P pipeline, Q fan is equal to Q pipeline. So then they will have a common point. So this point is this is called operating point. That means if I attach one fan with duct A, we will have some sort of a flow rate, obviously. And we will have some other flow rate if I attach it with duct B. So operating point will change depending on resistance of the duct or depending on the duct characteristic curve. Is this point clear?
Sir, what actually is this duct, sir?
Sir, is it like a pipe carrying the air to the fan, the duct you are talking about? Or is it encasing the fan?
No. Let me tell you what is duct. थोड़ा पहले चलते हैं, थोड़ा आगे चलते हैं. See here, this fan, it is drawing air through all these things: superheater, reheater, economizer, air preheater, precipitator, etc. So this is not exactly a duct, but we can think that it is a duct. Duct is something which, I mean, it may be like a pipeline, it may not be like a pipeline, but the resistances through which air is being drawn or being pushed by the fan. Okay. In a simple case, when we are talking about a air conditioning duct, so it may be a fan, and at the outlet of the fan, some sort of a rectangular duct is added. But in case of a boiler, the path is jagged. There are, in the air conditioning duct, there is no obstacle. But in the boiler, there are so many things. The superheater is coming somewhere, reheater is coming somewhere, economizer is coming. I will show those things. So that is a duct. In general, we are calling it a duct. When I am doing the fan analysis. Or basically, it is the path with different kind of resistances through which either air is being pushed or air is being pulled. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
So basically the resistance of the path, so that we are calling that system resistance. Here. And the intersection of both these is the operating point. And then why we are telling all these things? So as an engineer, you have to, the manufacturer will give you this curve. This fan curve will be given by the manufacturer. And then your boiler design is there, or let's say air conditioning room design is there. So you have got the ducting, you can calculate the resistance, etc. How the resistance changes with flow rate. So you will be able to find out the operating point, and you will be able to see whether really the duct design and the selection of fan is serving your purpose or not. Okay. At the end of the day, this is the kind of necessity when you are designing a typical system. So, up to this, if you have any point, question. So stall I have not taught. I have just told that there is something called stall, which is very, I mean, which is detrimental, which is dangerous, etc. But stall is some sort of aerodynamic phenomena. Let me give little bit of description regarding stall. So this is the aerofoil. So depending on the situation, what will happen? So air will try to separate out. And if air separate out, suppose here there is separation, so then air will have this kind of circulatory motion. That means the main flow is in this direction. This flow will be in the opposite direction. So that is what I was going to tell, that when the stall is perfectly developed, properly developed, totally developed, then there may be even reverse kind of a flow. Of course, the way I have explained it is very simplistic way. Stall is more complex. So you know only this much, that when this kind of big fans are used, there is a problem of stall. So one has to be careful. The stalling region of the fan, that has to be avoided. Fan has to be used beyond the stalling region. Okay.
So sir, here there would be a doubt, when the fan starts, then that stalling should be avoided during starting, right?
No, not during starting. During operation, the stalling should be, see, this diagram will give you. So suppose I have selected a fan and selected the ducting in such a way that my ducting and fan characteristic curve is cutting somewhere over here. Okay? So this is in the stalling region. I have to avoid that by increasing the or decreasing the resistance of the path, or by selecting another fan, or by selecting another pitch angle or RPM. So I have to avoid the stall.
So that is during operation, but when the fan starts up, the pressure and airflow rate, that point will follow the fan curve, right?
Yeah.
Then it will have to pass through the stall region then to go further.
No, I am, and if at all it has to pass, it is for a very small period of time.
Okay.
It will not. It will not affect.
Okay.
I mean, if we assume that flow rate is increasing slowly, I mean gradually, not slowly, gradually, but that will be a very small. In fact, many cases stall happens, and then the operator changes the operating condition so that the fan can come out of the stalling region.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes.
तो ठीक है, थोड़ा आगे बढ़ते हैं. So regarding fan, I am not discussing anything else. So this is the fan, and this is the let me tell you certain thing. Let me tell you. So what we do. So there are generally three big fans, or three types of big fans in boiler. One is primary air fan. Another is FD fan. That could be secondary air fan also, but generally secondary air fan is not called. And then there will be ID fan. So depending on my requirement, I have to use either very big centrifugal fan or axial flow fan. and control I have told. Now you see, there are certain difference, though we can say that the same mass flow rate of air is being handled by both the fan, but there are subtle differences. The differences are the primary air fan and FD fan, they are handling cold air, ambient air they are handling, and they are handling clean air. Okay, so but the ID fan, that is handling the hot air. Air is still hot, and it is also handling, along with air, we have got this ash particles or maybe small coal particles are there. So ID fans, I mean, has to be more corrosion resistant compared to the FD fan. And ID fan, that handles more mass flow rate, more volume flow rate, because coal has already burned. So coal mass compared to the air mass, that is small, obviously, but the volume flow rate has increased because that product of combustion, and particularly due to temperature is quite high. So for that thing, our volume flow rate has increased. So the fans are not identical. Based on these considerations, fans are selected for, I mean, inlet side and for the outlet side of a draft system. Is it all right? Okay. So now I am coming. So far we were talking about boiler, but now it is not boiler where we are not having any kind of combustion, but we are having an HRSG, heat recovery steam generator. Heat recovery steam generator, where did we find? Where did we discuss heat recovery steam generator?
Combined cycle.
Combined cycle. So gas turbine is there. Gas turbine exhaust, we are taking the gas, and then we are generating steam. But there is no combustion in most of the cases. So gas turbine exhaust is coming over here. It is passing like this. So this is a diffuser kind of a section, so that the gas velocity decreases. After that, all the heat exchanger section will be there. This will be highly insulated. And then this is the chimney. It is cut over here, but this is going up. So these are very big unit, and horizontal. Most of the cases we will have horizontal steam generator. In certain cases we can have vertical steam generator, I will show you, but in most of the cases we will have horizontal steam generator. So it looks like this. I mean, we can have some additional burner here, though I have told there is no combustion, but in some cases we can have combustion. Combustion means it is like this, that the exhaust which is coming, it might have, and generally from where this exhaust is coming, so there was a combustion chamber in the gas turbine power plant, and in that gas turbine power plant we have burned oil, or we have burnt natural gas. From there, it has gone to the turbine, expanded in the turbine, and then it is coming out. So it may happen that there is some sort of residual oil vapor or residual natural gas. So we can burn it, or what we can do, we can inject here some additional amount of fuel. That could be same fuel, that could be some other fuel, and we can have burner. But this is not a mandatory part of HRSG. In many steam, most of these HRSG will not have burner, or most of them will have, I mean, some of them will have burner, but only during some emergency they will be operated. They are not regularly operated. But as we can see, the temperature is the highest over here. Then temperature will go on reducing, and near the stack temperature is the minimum. So highest temperature we will have the superheater. So this is the superheater. And the superheater, we can see that these are the headers of the superheater. By now, I think you know what is header. So these are the header of the superheater. So this is your superheated tube. And then the temperature of the gas is slightly lower. So we will have the evaporator, and it is some sort of a, what we have shown is a natural circulation loop. There could be forced circulation loop also. So from this steam drum, and there is a steam drum, generally this is outside this, from outside, this steam drum is visible. If we go back, so here the steam drum is there, so steam drum is visible. Generally steam drum is visible. So after this steam drum, the water is coming to the economizer. So economizer, here the temperature is low. You see how the color is changing. Then from economizer, it is going to the evaporator, which is having a steam drum, and then from there it is going to the superheater, and from there it is going to the turbine. The arrangement, if we see, the gas flow is in this direction, and the fluid flow, the operating or operating fluid of the thermal power plant, so that is flowing in the different, in the opposite direction. So globally, if we see, then it is a counter flow type of heat exchanger. Basically, it is a very big heat exchanger, and it is a counter flow type of heat exchanger. And locally, if we see, then any tube, if we see, the gas flow rate is in this direction, and fluid flow rate inside the tube is at 90 degrees to the gas flow. So this is cross flow locally, and globally it is counter current flow. So that kind of heat exchanger, it is called cross counter current flow. So that kind of heat exchanger is there in an HRSG. Up to this means this is a simple arrangement, and this is called single pressure, because the steam drum, there is a pressure which is maintained, and everywhere the same pressure, almost the same pressure, with a negligible pressure drop. Everywhere the fluid is having the same pressure. So it is a single pressure HRSG. Anything you like to ask, any clarification you like to have? Any clarification you like to have? Otherwise, I will proceed. Okay. So here, what we are showing, let's say this is the length of the HRSG. This is how the gas temperature is reducing. And this is how the fluid temperature is increasing. This. So there are three distinct portions: economizer, evaporator, and superheater. So fluid temperature is gradually increasing like this. And global, this is a global picture. So global picture wise, it looks like as if it is some sort of a counter current heat exchanger. Okay. The minimum temperature difference between these two streams, the flue gas and the working fluid of the cycle, is at the point where, at the end of the economizer. At the end of the economizer, where it has, reached more or less the saturation temperature. And this difference is called pinch point temperature. This is the lowest difference between these two streams, lowest temperature difference between these two streams, or at the beginning of the evaporator. And this is your called pinch point temperature. Very important, pinch point temperature. The lesser the pinch point temperature, more is the energy utilization, but more sophisticated or more stringent will be the design of the HRSG. Okay, so for a lower value of pinch point, we will have high heat recovery, but at the same time, the HRSG will be costly. Then you see this is economizer. Here it should heat the cold water and bring it to the saturation temperature, but never in the economizer it is brought to the saturation temperature. So there is certain amount of temperature difference between the economizer outlet temperature and the saturation temperature. So this is called the approach. How closely it is approaching the saturation temperature, that is the approach. Because if there is steam generation within the economizer is not designed to handle two-phase flow, so there may be failure, there may be tube burnout. Okay, so that's why we want to avoid it, and whatever steam generation that will be there in the evaporator section itself. So there is an approach and there is a pinch. So these two things are very important for your HRSG.
Sir, sir, why is it like a sudden jump from the economizer outlet temperature to the saturation temperature?
Actually, it is like this. This is the economizer outlet temperature. But steam drum, always I have discussed that it has got a very large mass. So in the large mass, it is having saturation temperature. So some amount of small mass of liquid is going there with some temperature which is below the saturation temperature. We are assuming instantaneously that liquid will achieve the saturation temperature. Is it clear, my point?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If there is nothing, then I mean, okay. Before saying goodbye, actually, I will give you a little bit of trouble. I will take this Friday's class from 8:30 to 8 to 9:30, I believe. Kya hai, dekh lena hai. So that extra class which has been put, I have to. More or less, I have ended. Actually, there are so many practical things, no? So, I mean, steam generator, somehow I am come to an end, though maybe some more time is needed. So I have to start another very important thing, which is turbine. The steam turbine I have to start. And some amount of derivation and formula, I mean, mathematics is there. So from coming day, I mean, Friday, I will start that. Okay. So Friday, there will be this extra class from 8 to 9:30. And in between, I will communicate with you regarding the test